Alright, my name is Luke Iris Manning. I actually go by just Iris now, but I don't think I've talked about my preferred name for this class, so there's my full legal name. And for this second application profile project, I made a any-based AP schema for a academic gender studies article database. And I will go into what that means right now. So this is the description of the collection. It's your typical database of digital scholarly articles, and these ones particularly have to do with gender studies. And it's not super important to the way the database is laid out, but it gave me something to just limit my collection to. Gender studies is study of gender identity and representation. And because this is, I imagined this for a academic college setting, so I imagined that it would be nice if instructors would be able to kind of connect their classes with the articles in the database. So that's what I did here. It's designed so articles can be tagged by instructors with a class code term, which we'll go over later. So this is a mods-based application profile. Why mods? I chose it because it allows for rich description, has very high granularity, so it's extremely flexible, and I liked that. And it's a standard used for collections like this of digital articles and other digital objects. So I thought it would be a really good fit for the particular collection that we've got at hand. The application profile uses a mix. It uses a selection of elements from mods combined with a custom schema, and the custom schema really isn't that big. It's one element big. But, you know, I wanted that extra bit of functionality to make it mine and not just watered down mods. So for the application schema, we have just the sort of container elements, article type and article collection, which is just the article collection is several different. It can collect an unlimited number of articles within it. So it's representative of a database in its entirety of the articles that my metadata is describing. And I forgot to mention the article is what combines mods with the other schema. So we're going to go over the kind of big important elements that I used for this particular application profile. First, we're going to go over the mods, and the first one we have with mods, of course, is name. There's a few other ones like title and language and stuff like that. They're important, but I didn't feel like I needed to go into much more detail on those. I wanted to go into detail on these because mods leaves things very open, and I wanted to talk about the particular terms that I use in the instance to describe the articles. So in this case, name part, I used name part. That's kind of your last name, first name. It's how the name is kind of stored in the database. Display form is how the name would be displayed, with the first name first, last name last. And then we have the role. I limited this by Mark 21 relator term authority, which describes the relations between a kind of creator type person and a work. And one example, for pretty much all the instances, I use the AUT, which stands for author, of course. And that's an example of the Mark 21 code for relators. Then we've got origin info. As you can see, there's a lot of different options, and because it's a choice, there's not all of these are required to be in there. So I can pick out and choose a few of them to use. So for this one, place, publisher, and date issued were the ones that I ended up using the most. So place, just of course, where an article is published. Publisher, the big name behind the journal published, and date issued, whenever that journal, wherever the journal where the article originated from, when that was issued. For genre, this is the type of thing the work at hand is. So genre describes whether something's a book or an article, etc., etc. And that is limited by the Congress Genre Form Terms Authority, the LCGFT, and that's in my code. So there you go. And then we have the subject, which is the particular topic of the article. And these are limited by the Library of Congress Subject Headings Authority, the LCSH. And you can have multiple topics, which are kind of the grains of subject that you can use. And the geographic and temporal element terms signify subjects concerning time and place. So if your subject is about Botswana, you would say geographic. If it's about the 18th century, temporal. And if it's about pretty much anything else, you just use topic to cover it. Related item. This is a very open term that pretty much gives you access to everything mods has to offer. I instantiated it in a very particular way in my instances. So on the right, you can see sort of how I would use that, how I would use related item. In this case, it's usually the journal or book that contains the article. So that's why I've got part type host, and it lets you list what the volume and the issue and the page are. And we also have the unique ISSN numbers right over there. So this would usually be all the information about kind of what journal an article is from. So this was my particular addition to the mod schema, or for the application profile. I combined the mods and this schema. And this was just my unique idea. It depicts the code that a student can use to find articles their class is reading for school. So it's the class code that you would sign up for that just identifies your class. I figured it would be neat if a teacher could associate their class with a particular article in the database, make it easier to find. And here's an example for a class called Gender 202. Just an example. I don't really have that class in mind or whatever. I don't know what even that would be called. So that is an example of how it might be used. Someone has a class, Gender 202, and a student can click on it, and there you go. There's all the articles that you have to read listed in the database. And I just want to take a moment to talk about the process I used to put in the data. I got the source of all of my instance data was from Academic Source Complete, and so I pretty much copy pasted everything into the instance from there. And yeah, I just wanted to say, hey, this is where I got that information. I didn't make it all up. And you can check it against the information out there. And that is the end of my presentation. Have a good night.